Hello everyone, welcome back. We're talking about the digestive system development and now we're talking about the midgut derivatives. In this section we'll be talking about the rotation of the midgut loop, how the midgut loop attains its adult position. We'll talk about the development of cecum and the appendix. We'll see how the cecum develops and how the appendix is formed and what are the various important sites of the adult appendix. And finally, we'll see how the adult derivatives from the midgut are formed. So, getting into it, it's important to understand the various sources of development for the midgut. So, the sources of development for duodenum are the pre-arterial segment of the midgut loop. So, what is a pre-arterial segment? We talked about this before. The artery to the midgut is the superior mesenteric artery. The superior mesenteric artery, it supplies the midgut at its apex. The portion cranial to this, the attachment or the supply of the superior mesenteric artery is the pre-arterial segment, and the segment distal to the supply of the superior mesenteric artery is the post-arterial segment of the midgut loop. Now, the ileum is derived from the pre-arterial segment of the midgut loop and a small post-arterial segment of the midgut. Now, the cecum and appendix, they are developed from the cecal butt of the post-arterial segment of the midgut loop, and finally the ascending colon and the proximal 2/3 of the transverse colon, they are formed by the post-arterial segment of the midgut loop. Now, this is the superior mesenteric artery which is supplying the midgut. This is the site at which the superior mesenteric artery actually supplies. This section before this, the segment of the midgut before this in yellow is the pre-arterial segment or the proximal segment. It is located cranially. The segment distal to this is the post-arterial segment or the distal segment. It is located caudally. This is the cecal butt from where the cecum and the appendix are formed. And this is the vitello-intestinal duct, which is the remnant of a communication between the hindgut and the yolk sac. The superior mesenteric artery, it runs posto-anteriorly through the middle of the mesentery of the midgut loop. So, midgut loop elongates to form a U-shaped primary intestinal loop. Here you can see in the figure a U-shaped loop has been formed. It suspends from the posterior abdominal wall by a short mesentery. So, the posterior abdominal wall is contributing to the mesentery of the midgut loop. At its apex, this is the apex, it communicates with the yolk sac. There is a communication with the yolk sac through a narrow vitelline duct or vitello-intestinal duct or the yolk stalk. Whatever you may call it, it is actually a communication with the yolk sac. So, what is physiological umbilical hernia? So, the embryo is at 6th week of development. Development of intestine is characterized by the rapid elongation primarily of the cephalic limb. The pre-arterial limb, it undergoes rapid proliferation. As a result of this rapid proliferation, the abdominal cavity becomes smaller, and there is not enough space within the abdominal cavity to accommodate all of this developing intestine, as a result of which this developing intestine herniates through the midgut into the yolk sac. This is known as the physiological umbilical herniation. Here you can see there is rapid development of this intestinal coils. These intestinal coils cannot be contained within this abdominal cavity, as abdominal cavity is small. So these intestinal coils have herniated into the yolk sac or the umbilical cord. So there is a rapid growth and expansion of liver. Here you can see, and it occupies almost all of the abdominal cavity, this rapidly expanding liver. So there's no space for these intestinal coils to form within the abdominal cavity. So they enter the extra embryonic cavity within the umbilical cord. So this was what physiological herniation was all about. Physiological herniation is important because it helps in the rotation of the midgut loop. Without physiological herniation, the rotation of the midgut loop does not take place. Before rotation, it is important to keep in mind that the rotation takes place in the anti-clockwise direction. There are three different rotations. As a whole, there's a 270-degree rotation that the gut undergoes. This rotation of gut is very important to attain the adult position that is found in the adult human. So now let's get into the rotation and see what actually happens with the rotation of the midgut loop. So before rotation, this is what the picture is before rotation. The prearterial segment, this is the prearterial segment, superior mesenteric artery, the superior mesenteric artery, and the postarterial segment. They lie in the vertical or the sagittal plane. So they lie in the sagittal plane, and they're very simply just lying there. So now what happens? Now the prearterial segment, this is the prearterial segment, it undergoes 90-degree anti-clockwise rotation. So against the clock, there's a 90-degree rotation, and against the clock. As it is, what happens is the prearterial segment, which is undergoing this 90-degree anti-clockwise rotation. Now it comes to lie at the right side, as a result of which it elongates extensively. So there is extensive elongation. It now forms the coils of the duodenum and the ileum, which also lie on the right side of the superior mesenteric artery. So the rotation, this rotation initially, it was not on the right side. So this rotation of the prearterial segment, that was a 90-degree anti-clockwise rotation, resulted in this segment coming to the right side of the superior mesenteric artery. Now this segment elongates to form the coils of to form the duodenum and the coils of ileum, which also now lie on the right side of the superior mesenteric artery. So this is the first rotation that has taken place, and still a 180-degree rotation has yet to take place. So now the returning coil, these coils, because there was rapid expansion of this intestine, and these coils could not be accommodated within the abdominal cavity, so these coils herniated into the umbilical cord, and this was the physiological herniation. Now these coils are returning from the herniation. These returning coils of duodenum and the ileum, they undergo a second 90-degree anti-clockwise rotation, and they pass behind the superior mesenteric artery. Now here you can see these are the returning coils. They undergo another 90-degree anti-clockwise rotation, as a result of which initially they were lying on the right side of the superior mesenteric artery. Now they come to lie behind the superior mesenteric artery. So initially the superior mesenteric artery was in the center. There was a prearterial segment which was before the superior mesenteric artery. This was in yellow, and there was a postarterial segment which was in green. So they were lying in the sagittal plane. First, a 90-degree rotation took place, 90-degree anti-clockwise rotation, as a result of which the prearterial segment came to lie to the right. It underwent rapid proliferation and results in the formation of coils of duodenum and ileum. These coils could not be incorporated into the abdominal cavity, so they physiologically herniated into the umbilical cord. Now from the umbilical cord they are returning, but they undergo another 90-degree anti-clockwise rotation. This 90-degree anti-clockwise rotation results in this causes this prearterial segment to lie behind the superior mesenteric artery, which was initially lying on the right side of the superior mesenteric artery. So here this is the second rotation. which causes this pre-arterial segment to come to lie behind the superior mesenteric artery. So now the returning post-arterial segment, this in green, now this returning post-arterial segment, this undergoes third 90-degree anti-clockwise rotation. So this is the third division now, rotation that is now taking place, which causes the cecum and appendix to lie on the right side and just below the liver. This causes this now, the post-arterial segment is now undergoing the third 90-degree clockwise rotation, anti-clockwise rotation. This anti-clockwise rotation causes this cecal bud to come to lie just below this liver, and this is where the cecal bud would be lying after the third 90-degree anti-clockwise rotation. So now this is a recap of how the rotation actually takes place. So this is the pre-arterial segment, this is the post-arterial segment, in between we have the superior mesenteric artery. So this is the first anti-clockwise rotation. First 90-degree anti-clockwise rotation causes the this pre-arterial segment to come to lie on the right side. After that, the second 90-degree anti-clockwise rotation takes place. Now this is the second anti-clockwise rotation taking place. It causes this pre-arterial segment to come to lie behind this superior mesenteric artery, and finally this is the third 90-degree anti-clockwise rotation, which causes the cecal bud of the post-arterial segment to come to lie just below the liver. The rotation of the midgut loop is a very important topic. I have tried to make it as easy as possible, but sometimes the student confuse it. If you still find it confusing, try to go through the slide one more time and you'll be easily able to get it. So now moving on, we'll see how this cecum and appendix is formed from the cecal bud. So we talked about this earlier. This is the cecal bud. The cecum and appendix, they are formed from the cecal bud, which is a conical dilation. This is a cone-like dilation that appears in the post-arterial segment. So this is the post-arterial segment of the midgut loop near its apex being the highest point. So the proximal part of the bud grows rapidly and forms the cecum. This is the proximal part and this is the distal part. So the proximal part of the bud, it grows rapidly. It expands to form the right and left cecal folds, and it forms the adult cecum, and the appendix is formed from the distal part. So the distal part, it remains narrow and forms the appendix. So while development of the cecum takes place, the right cecal saccule and the left cecal saccule are formed. Cecal saccules are actually dilations in the right and left in the cecal bud, which finally form the saccules or the dilations. So these are the adult types of the appendix that actually are present in the human body. So the fetal type or the conical is a simple cecal bud that has not underwent saccule formation, and this has the appendix on its distal end. Then we have the infantile type, in which the cecal bud has underwent proliferation and dilation to form the right cecal saccule and the left cecal saccule. However, these saccules have not joined yet, and the distally we have this appendix, which is still in its infantile position. So the normal type is where the right cecal pouch has been there's a large right cecal pouch and a small left cecal pouch, and the tinea, due to rapid proliferation of this right cecal saccule and the formation of large cecal pouch, the tinea coli have converged to the left side, and as a result of which the appendix is present to the left side near the iliocecal junction. And the fourth is the exaggerated type, in which there is extra or exaggerated growth of the right cecal saccule, as a result of which the appendix is pushed further posteriorly and to the left, along with the ileocecal junction. So this was all about this section. In this section, we talked about how various midgut derivatives were derived. We saw how various components of the midgut were formed. We talked about the pre-arterial and the post-arterial segments. Then we talked about the gut rotation, which was a very important topic. You have to keep in mind that there is a 270-degree gut rotation in the anti-clockwise direction that occurs within the human body, so that the gut may attain its adult position. I hope you understood it. For further sections, keep watching sqadia.com.